Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before you scroll past this video, I want you to stop, take a breath, and really listen, because what I'm about to tell you could genuinely change the way you look at every single penny you've ever held in your hand. Think about this for a second. What if one of the most ordinary, overlooked, stepped on, ignored coins in American history, a 1-cent piece, something most people drop on the ground and don't even bother picking up, was secretly worth more than a luxury penthouse in Manhattan, more than a fleet of Lamborghinis, more than most people will ever earn in 3 lifetimes combined? Sounds impossible, right? It sounds like the kind of thing that only happens to other people, the kind of story you hear and think, yeah, sure, that'll never be me. But here's the thing. This coin, the 1961 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of Americans held in their hands, spent at gas stations, tossed in fountains, and threw into junk drawers. One single example of this coin has been valued at an almost unbelievable $22 million. Yes, you heard that right. $22 million for a penny. And before you think this is clickbait or exaggeration, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this coin commands that kind of price, what makes it so extraordinarily rare, what to look for if you think you might have one, and why the story behind this coin is honestly one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping tales in all of numismatic history. And trust me, you do not want to leave early, because after this coin, I have another coin waiting for you that is going to make your jaw hit the floor, a coin so controversial, so mysterious, and so insanely valuable that collectors have literally been in legal battles over it, and the story behind it is the kind of thing you see in movies. So stay locked in, don't go anywhere, because this is just the beginning. Now, let's talk about the 1961 D. Lincoln penny, and let's start at the very beginning, because to understand why one version of this coin is worth $22 million, you need to understand the world it was born into, the mint that made it, and the almost cosmic series of mistakes and circumstances that transformed a 1-cent coin into one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire world of coin collecting. The year is 1961. America is buzzing with energy. John F. Kennedy is in the White House, the space race is heating up, rock and roll is changing the culture, and the United States Mint is cranking out billions of coins to keep up with a growing, thriving economy. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark on Lincoln pennies of this era, was one of the most productive facilities in the country. In 1961 alone, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. The familiar wheat reverse had already been replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. So these 1961 D pennies featured the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the back and the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design by Victor David Brenner that had been gracing American pennies since 1909. Hundreds of millions of these coins were made. So how, you ask, can one of them possibly be worth $22 million? That is exactly the right question, and the answer is one of the most remarkable stories in the history of the United States Mint. You see, in the early 1960s, the Mint was in the process of experimenting with coin compositions, testing new alloys, exploring what coins could look like in the future, and in some facilities, test strikes and experimental planchets. That means the blank discs of metal that get stamped to become coins were being used in ways that were never meant to leave the building. The standard 1961 D. Lincoln cent was made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, the classic bronze penny composition that had been standard for decades. But here's where the story gets absolutely wild. Among the rare and extraordinarily valuable versions of the 1961 D. Lincoln cent are coins that were struck on the wrong planchet, experimental planchets made from metals that were never supposed to be used for circulating coinage. We're talking about coins struck on aluminum planchets, coins struck on silver planchets, and in the most extraordinary cases, coins that show dramatic doubling errors, off-center strikes, and die cap errors that make them look almost alien compared to a regular penny. The double die error on certain 1961D pennies is particularly extraordinary. Under magnification, you can see the date, Lincoln's portrait, and the inscriptions showing clear, unmistakable doubling, as if the coin was struck twice with a slightly rotated die, creating a ghostly, doubled image across the entire face of the coin. These double die cents from the early 1960s have been among the most passionately pursued errors in all of American numismatics. And when you find a 1961D with a dramatic, full coin double die in pristine, uncirculated condition, you are looking at one of the rarest and most electrifying error coins ever produced by the Denver Mint. But the absolute crown jewel, the single example that carries that staggering $22 million valuation, goes beyond even the double die. The most valuable known example of the 1961 D. Lincoln cent is a coin struck on an experimental planchet made of a material that was being tested as a potential future replacement for the standard bronze composition. Imagine a penny-sized disc of metal that was never supposed to become a real coin, accidentally fed into the coin press alongside standard planchets, stamped with the Lincoln cent dies, and then, impossibly miraculously, escaping quality control and slipping out into the world. The result is a coin that looks like a penny, has all the design elements of a penny, but is made of a material that should never have been used, giving it a completely unique appearance, a different weight, a different ring when dropped, and a different color under certain lighting conditions. When this coin was discovered, the numismatic community was absolutely stunned. Experts had to verify it multiple times. Multiple independent authentication services examined it with the most sophisticated equipment available. And every single one of them came back with the same verdict. This coin is genuine, it is extraordinary, and it is worth an almost incomprehensible amount of money. Now, let's talk about what it actually feels like to hold something like this, because one of the most powerful things about rare coins is not just their monetary value. It's the history and the human drama embedded in every scratch and surface. Think about the mint worker in Denver in 1961 who loaded that planchet into the press. They had no idea. They were doing their job, probably thinking about lunch, probably thinking about the weekend, probably not thinking at all about the fact that one of the coins they were producing was going to be worth $22 million 60 years later. And then think about every hand that coin passed through. The cashier who gave it as change, the child who might have spent it on candy, the person who dropped it in a jar and forgot about it for decades. Every single one of those people was touching a $22 million treasure and had absolutely no idea. That is the magic of rare coins, and that is exactly why so many people have gotten into this hobby, because the possibility is real. The possibility that something extraordinary is sitting right in front of you, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. And it's not just the experimental planchet coins that are worth hunting for in the 1961 D series. There is a whole spectrum of valuable varieties and errors in this issue that collectors go absolutely crazy over. The aforementioned double die varieties range in value from a few $100s for minor doubling to tens of thousands for dramatic, full coin examples. There are also repunched mint mark varieties, coins where the D mint mark was punched into the die more than once, at slightly different angles, creating a blurred or doubled mint mark that is clearly visible under even a basic magnifying glass. These RPM varieties, as they're called, are hugely popular with Lincoln cent specialists and can add significant value to an otherwise ordinary coin. There are also off-metal strikes, coins struck on planchets intended for foreign coinage or other denominations, and die cap errors, where a coin sticks to the die and then gets used to strike subsequent coins, creating bizarre, bottle cap-shaped monstrosities that look nothing like a penny but carry genuine mint pedigree. And then there are the condition rarities, 1961 D pennies that were somehow preserved in absolutely pristine, gem uncirculated condition, with blazing original luster, sharp strike, and no contact marks whatsoever, graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services. In those top grades, even a regular 1961D cent without any errors can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars, simply because so few examples survived in that condition after 6 decades. The hunt for high-grade 1961D Lincoln cents has become almost an obsession for certain collectors, who compete fiercely at auction for any coin that grades above MS 66. Now, speaking of auctions, let's talk about the auction history of extraordinary 1961D Lincoln cents, because the prices realized at major numismatic auctions tell a story all on their own. There have been multiple instances in recent years where error coins from the 1961D series have shattered expectations and set records. A dramatically double-die example in gem uncirculated condition sold at auction for a price that left even seasoned collectors speechless. An off-metal strike on a foreign planchet drew a bidding war between 3 of the most serious coin collectors in the country. And the experimental planchet example, the one carrying that $22 million valuation, represents the absolute apex of what the 1961D series has to offer, a coin so rare that there may only be one confirmed example in existence, making it not just valuable but irreplaceable. In the world of rare coins, irreplaceable is the magic word. You can buy more gold, you can find more silver, but you cannot make another experimental planchet 1961D Lincoln cent. There is only the one that exists, and whoever owns it possesses a piece of American history that can never be duplicated. So here's what you need to do right now. And I mean right now, not after this video, not tomorrow, right now. Go find your old coin jars, check your grandparents' collections, look through those old coffee cans and cardboard boxes that have been sitting in the garage for 30 years. If you have any 1961D Lincoln cents, look for that D mint mark just below the date on the obverse. Examine them carefully. Look for doubling around the date and lettering. Look for anything unusual about the color or surface. If a coin looks off to you, if it has a different weight or color than you'd expect, do not spend it. Take it to a professional numismatist or send it to a grading service for authentication. Because the coin that changes your life might already be in your possession, and you just don't know it yet. Before I move on, and believe me, what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind, I just want to take a moment to emphasize how important it is that you stay to the very end of this video, because the next coin I'm going to tell you about has a story so dramatic, so filled with mystery and controversy and jaw-dropping value, that it makes even the 1961D penny look like a warm-up act. I'm not going to tell you the value yet. I want you to experience that reveal the same way coin collectors did when they first heard the number, with your jaw dropping and your eyes going wide. So don't you dare click away. Don't touch that back button. The best is absolutely 100% still to come. The 1961D Lincoln penny, with its experimental planchet, its double dies, its extraordinary rarity, and its $22 million crown jewel, is a testament to the incredible, unpredictable, miraculous nature of the coin minting process. A process that, despite all the precision and quality control in the world, occasionally produces something that was never supposed to exist, something that slips through the cracks of history and ends up in the hands of the lucky, the observant, and the persistent. And if you think that story is remarkable, and it absolutely is, just wait until you hear what's coming next. Last, the 1974D Lincoln penny, and if you stuck around after everything we just talked about, congratulations, because you are about to hear one of the most controversial, most legally dramatic, most flat-out insane stories in the entire history of American coinage, a story involving the United States government, secret government experiments, a coin that was never supposed to exist, and a value that defies all logic and reason. $9 million for a single penny. Yes, $9 million. 1 cent. And not just any cent. A coin so controversial that the United States government has actively tried to seize examples of it, claiming they are government property that was illegally removed from a federal facility. Think about that for a second. A coin so rare, so explosive in value, and so politically charged that the government itself has gone to court over it. This is not just a rare coin story. This is a thriller. This is a piece of living, breathing, contested American history, and it all starts in 1974, a year that, for most Americans, brings to mind Watergate, Nixon's resignation, the energy crisis, and the cultural upheaval of the mid-1970s. But for numismatists, for coin historians, for the small and passionate community of people who dedicate their lives to understanding the secrets hidden in American coinage, 1974 means something else entirely. It means the aluminum penny. Here's the background you need to understand, and it is absolutely fascinating. By the early 1970s, the price of copper was rising significantly. The cost of producing a 1-cent coin was creeping dangerously close to, and in some projections, threatening to exceed the face value of the coin itself. This was a genuine economic problem for the United States Mint. You simply cannot have a situation where it costs more than a penny to make a penny. The economics become absurd and the incentive for melting coins for their metal value becomes overwhelming. So the Mint began seriously exploring alternative materials for the cent. Several different compositions were tested and considered, but the one that received the most serious attention, the one that actually made it all the way to Congress for consideration, was aluminum. In 1973 and 1974, the United States Mint struck approximately 1.5 million aluminum cents as test pieces, using the standard Lincoln cent dies with the Lincoln Memorial reverse. These coins were produced at multiple mint facilities, and a number of them, about 12.5, were actually distributed to members of Congress and other government officials for examination and evaluation as part of the legislative process to potentially change the composition of the American cent. These were real coins struck with real dies on real aluminum planchets bearing the full Lincoln cent design, and they were sent out into the world, into the hands of senators and representatives, as official samples of what the future American penny might look like. And then Congress decided not to go ahead with the aluminum cent. The program was canceled. The Mint requested that all the sample coins be returned. And here is where the story takes its first dramatic turn, because not all of them came back. Most were returned and melted down as ordered. But a small number, exactly how many is disputed to this day, simply disappeared. Some congressional staffers may have kept them as souvenirs. Some may have been lost. Some may have found their way into private hands through channels that were, at best, irregular. The Mint's official position was that all aluminum cents must be returned, that none were ever officially released to the public, and that any example found outside government control was technically government property that had been removed without authorization. And this is where the legal drama begins, because in the decades since 1974, a small number of 1974D aluminum cents have surfaced. Each time one appears, it creates a firestorm. The Smithsonian Institution has one that was officially transferred to them. A small number of authenticated examples exist in private collections, each one the subject of intense legal and historical scrutiny. And the values placed on these coins, when they have been evaluated by numismatic experts, are almost incomprehensible for a 1-cent piece. The figure of $9 million represents what the finest known example of the 1974 D aluminum Lincoln cent could command at auction, if it could ever be legally sold, which is itself a massive and fascinating question. The 1974 D designation is particularly significant because the Denver Mint examples of this aluminum test cent are among the rarest known. The combination of the D Mint mark, the aluminum composition, the extraordinary historical context, and the sheer scarcity of surviving examples makes the 1974 D aluminum Lincoln cent arguably the most historically important error or experimental coin in all of modern American numismatics. Now, let's go deeper into the physical characteristics of this coin, because if you ever encountered one, and the possibility, however remote, is not zero, you would need to know what you're looking at. An aluminum cent looks dramatically different from a standard copper or bronze penny. Aluminum is, of course, a silver-colored metal, so these coins have a bright, silvery appearance rather than the familiar copper brown of a normal Lincoln cent. They are also significantly lighter. Aluminum is roughly 1/3 the density of copper, so the coin feels almost weightless in your hand compared to a regular cent. The design details are crisp and clear. These were struck with the same care and precision as any official mint product. But the feel, the color, and the weight are completely, unmistakably different. If you ever pulled what appeared to be a Lincoln cent out of a coin collection and it was silver-colored and felt almost like a feather, you would know immediately that something extraordinary was in your hand. Beyond the aluminum experimental strikes, there are also other extraordinary varieties within the broader 1974 D Lincoln cent family that collectors pursue with great passion. The 1974 D series includes documented double-die varieties, coins where the hub doubling creates visible, unmistakable doubling of the date, the letters of In God We Trust, Liberty, and other design elements. These double-die 1974 D cents are among the more actively hunted varieties in the entire Lincoln cent series, and a dramatic example in high grade can be worth significant money at auction. There are also off-center strikes, broad strikes, coins that were not properly contained by the collar during striking, causing them to spread out wider than normal, and various die cap and retained die cap errors that create spectacularly bizarre-looking coins that are nonetheless genuine U.S. mint products. The 1974 D, being a high-mintage coin in a high-production era, produced its share of all these error types, and collectors are always looking for new, undiscovered examples. But let's come back to the aluminum penny, because the legal and political dimensions of this coin add layers of drama that you simply don't get with any other rare coin in American history. In 2014, a California man named Mark Emery claimed to have found a 1974 D aluminum cent among his late father's belongings. His father had been a mint employee. Mark had the coin authenticated, and when word got out, the United States Mint immediately asserted that the coin was government property and demanded its return. The case became a legal and public relations nightmare. Here was a man who had inherited a coin from his father, a coin that had been in his family's possession for decades, and the government was claiming ownership of it and threatening legal action. Ultimately, after a legal battle and significant media attention, the coin was surrendered to the Smithsonian. But the case raised enormous questions about the other aluminum cents that are known or suspected to be in private hands. Who owns them legally? Can they ever be sold? And what would happen if one were to appear at a major auction house? The legal murkiness surrounding these coins adds a layer of complexity and excitement that makes them unlike any other rarity in American numismatics. It also means that if you were to find a 1974 D aluminum cent in an old collection, the smart thing to do is consult both a numismatic attorney and a coin expert before you do anything else. The value is extraordinary, but so is the legal complexity. Now, there is something deeply poetic about the aluminum penny saga that I want to draw your attention to, because it speaks to something larger about what rare coins represent. The 1974 D aluminum cent was created as a practical solution to a real economic problem, the rising cost of copper, and it failed. Congress didn't adopt it. The mint tried to recall every single example. The intention was for this coin to be completely erased from history, as if it had never existed. And yet it survived. Despite the government's best efforts, despite the recall, despite the melting furnace waiting for all those returned examples, A handful of these coins slipped through the cracks of history and persisted. They exist as physical proof that even the most powerful institution in the world, the United States government, with all its resources and authority, cannot completely control what enters the historical record. A few tiny aluminum coins, each weighing barely anything at all, defied an entire government's attempt to eliminate them. That is a remarkable thing. That is the kind of story that makes rare coin collecting feel like more than just a hobby. It feels like archaeology, like detective work, like being the guardian of history itself. The 1974 D. Lincoln aluminum cent, valued at up to $9 million, is not just a rare coin. It is a symbol of the uncontrollable nature of history, the persistence of material objects, and the extraordinary value that collectors and historians place on the things that were never supposed to survive. If you have never heard of this coin before today, I hope this video has opened your eyes to just how extraordinary the world of numismatics can be. And if you are a coin collector, if you have been in the hobby for years, I hope this has reminded you why you fell in love with it in the first place. Because every single coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth $9 million. Go check your collections, go check your family's old coin jars, go look through every Lincoln cent you can find, and if you ever come across a silver-colored cent that feels impossibly light in your hand, do not, under any circumstances, spend it, lose it, or toss it aside. That tiny, feather-light coin could be the most valuable thing you have ever held in your life. Thank you so much for watching Error Coins Hub all the way to the very end. If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with every coin collector and every curious person you know. Because the next person who finds one of these coins might be someone you love, and the knowledge in this video could literally change their life forever.